I would like to introduce our next speaker, Professor Edwin Aldrian, who will give us the next input statement. Again, very brief introduction. Professor Edwin Aldrian is a professor of meteorology and climatology and currently serves as the vice chair of the Working Group 1 at the United Nations Body for Assessing the Science Related to Climate Change, the IPCC, where he's representing Indonesia and countries in the Southwest Pacific region. The working group itself examines the physical science underpinning past, present, and future climate change. The last point I want to make, just because a large share of the organizers today are in fact German, I will point out that Professor Aldrian obtained his PhD from the Max Planck Institute for Meteorology in Germany. So with that brief introduction, I would like to give the floor to you, and already a big thank you for being here with us today, Professor Aldrian.
Okay, thank you very much. Is my voice loud and clear? Can you hear me? Okay, I think it should be no problem. I will talk right now about climate change in Indonesia, what is beyond land use change. As introduced that I'm a professor of meteorology and climatology at the BPPT, Agency for Assessment Application of Technology in Jakarta. And I'm also working in the IPCC as Working Group 1 Vice Chair. So my presentation about today is working on the evidence of climate change in Indonesia, and then special report on land issue and forest carbon capacity in Indonesia, and then issue with palm oil regarding climate change, forest fire, and bioenergy. So for evidence of climate change in Indonesia, I take something really big issue right now. It's a glacier, the only glacier in the tropical equator. There are only three in the Kenya, Indonesia, and Peru. We have a still glacier here. The glacier melting in Indonesia. This is in the West Papua. We have story here of the glacier from several pictures of 1930 to 2000 here, and then the glacier is melting all the way. Right now, I was there in the 2009, looking at this picture here, and then we have a record of this. This is already published in the paper, so you can see this glacier melt now in West Papua. Glacial melt not because of something that the human to do with it, but it is like due to global warming. So it is like glacier have the record of climate in the past. So what happened in the past is recorded there. So this is right now we save the glacier and put in the museum in the OSU, in the Ohio State University in the United States. So I'm afraid that for a few decades from now, that Indonesia will say that we just recall that we already had glacier before. So that is one evidence. The second evidence is our greenhouse gas concentration measurement. This is in West Sumatra province. Right now we have the greenhouse gas concentration, which is going up. This is the green one at the bottom is the one recorded in West Sumatra. Is alongside with the Mauna Loa and the global measurement. So that one is for CO2. This one for methane, CH4, and then and so on. Now we have also this is an experiment I did in 2013 for greenhouse gas emission reduction during Nyepi days in Bali. This is we put five location in Bali. Bali is the island next to Java. This is a very famous island for tourism, and then they have one day in a year. One day in a year, around 30 hours, they have locked down everything. People doing nothing. So when doing nothing during this silent day, we measure what happened in the greenhouse gas concentration there for methane, CO2, and nitrous oxide, and then we found out that there is a reduction of 33% of greenhouse gas concentration during the NIPI days. So the anthropogenic activity in the Bali island contribute to 33% increase because we have a reduction of 33. So this is nowadays this is a quantitative direct measurement that proves the statement that the greenhouse gas is due to human activity. So and then this is the first kind of human experiment to measure the reduction of greenhouse gas concentration. So Nyepi Day in Bali is an ideal condition because it is an isolated island. So the amount of anthropogenic emission on that day being isolated from the outside, the real measurement of the anthropogenic emission in the with a model, but this is very direct measurement. So I think there is no other place in the world there is a silent day like this, 30 hours without doing nothing. So the whole activity is stop. So it will reduce the anthropogenic emission. Now I move now to IPCC special report that is endorsed in 2019 last year. IPCC already produced the IPCC special report on climate change and land. This is for desertification, land degradation, sustainable land management, food security, and greenhouse gas flux in the terrestrial system. So this is how the land affected by climate change, and then we here thinking that the land is under human pressure, very much stress, and land is also part of the solution, but land cannot do it alone. This is our message. Land is critical resource and we rely on food, water, health, and well-being, but it's already under growing pressure. Human change is adding to this pressure. So this is what happened in the land, that human-induced land use change and global change in the atmospheric variable, and then changes in the atmospheric composition. So all of this contribute to land pressure. So climate change is making a challenging situation worse and undermining the food security. And agriculture and food security and deforestation are now the major driver of the climate change. So we need the coordinated action to tackle climate change, and then this is must done continuously and simultaneously to improve land, food security, and nutrition to help end the hunger. The way we produce our food, it is matter in this case. The dietary choices can help reduce emission and pressure on land itself. So we have to tackle this and for land degradation and help to adapt to further climate change. So the land that we are already use could fit the world by changing climate is providing biomass for renewable energy. This is the next topic, but it will require early and far-reaching action across several fronts. So we need a better land management and also support biodiversity conservation. Right now, IPCC working with IP-BEST is biodiversity agency in the UN system to work on the IPCC to see how we manage climate change on the biodiversity conservation. So tackling this challenge require a coordinated response in the government level, in the country level, in the regional level. So better land management can play its part in tackling climate change, and it can do alone. Okay, that's the message for land special report, climate change and land. Now we're talking about Indonesia future right now. We're talking about the forest carbon capacity in Indonesia. I just play small clip with this. This tropical deforestation still occurring, and in Indonesia that is part of South Asia, South Latin America, and then in Africa, this is part of the area that is deforested because of the land use change. So we measure this. This is my friend measure this, and then we have this possibility to have in 1 hectare 970 gram per carbon per square meter per year. That is the net turbulent uptake. And then we have this for the forest emission around 317. So this the message here. If you have one 1 kilometer square of the forest degraded into some other land use, and then you need to have 1/3 as a replacement in Indonesia, because 1/3 of the 1 hectare is needed or enough to replace the 1 hectare already replaced from the forest area. So this is the message of here. So emission is 300, but the reduction of 970, something like that. And then we have the next problem for Indonesia is about palm oil and climate change. This is according to a survey that is palm tree oil can capable of absorbing 13.7 CO2 per hectare, and this is our way to produce the energy about that is including stopping the deforestation and then methane capture, zero burning, and step aside with that. So this is, for example, Indonesia palm oil production. In the export statistic, we have production, export, and in US, this is always increasing by number. By number, this is up to now, this is 2016 number. Okay, and then IPCC say the palm oil emission that is give around for drain oil palm plantation, that is the first year is drained, and after that is reduced of draination, something like that. So I think we need sustainable palm oil management for oil, for if you're doing palm oil for plantation. That default emission is 1.7 gram per CO2 for dry matter burn for tropical palm oil. See, this is what IPCC say about that. So we can use this model projection. Now there are many model. If the Indonesia fit for future, actually palm oil is originated from Africa, and right now Indonesia and Malaysia is the largest palm oil production in the world. So you can see that present day palm oil suitability, and you can do it for 2050, and you can do it for 2100. Where are the area for palm oil suitability? And then this is give you the picture of the impact of climate change by model, and then using this with some scenario of emission scale in the model. So this is another model for palm oil suitability. You can have 2030, 2100. What will be the palm oil suitability for Indonesia? So actually no consensus or ultimate net goal climate impact on agriculture production, and global warming is changing rainfall pattern, use uncertainty regarding the effect of higher atmospheric concentration. So we have a problem with food security affecting the palm oil production. Considerably input to improve resilience via adaptation, and around 2050 there is a increased risk of water stress and significant impact on agriculture production, and it is affecting the global crop system. So we have problem right now, Indonesia and Malaysia, because European Parliament resolution on palm oil, it is in the 4 April 2017, because of the palm oil in Indonesia and Malaysia, not because palm oil, but because you have to do land clearing. For the land clearing, you need to, because in Indonesia there are many deforestation of the real problem. For example, wildfire of 2015 Indonesia, and this is worse because this year is the biggest El Nino years, and also we just experienced this year is La Nina year 2022. So fire in Indonesia are typical result of land clearing of palm oil plantation. So where 52% of fire occur in carbon-rich peatland. So indirect effect of EU biofuel demand associated with tropical forest reduction. So palm oil and forest fire, this is the real problem right now. So we have this, for example, this I give you example of 2013. We have a very big forest fire in Sumatra and then affecting some neighboring countries. So at the time, Singapore want to put into the UN Security Council problem. We have not only from Sumatra but also have fire from Kalimantan. This is 2015. This is the largest one in recently. This is all for 2015. I myself already helping government of Indonesia in fighting this. We go into court system. I go for I work for government to work as climate expert for trial in the forest fire cases in supporting government. So this is already some cases in like many area in Sumatra, Kalimantan. Next week I'll go for fire cases in the Sulawesi. So this is the problem. And then next one is the palm oil and bioenergy. This is the next problem. So usually we have problem before the plantation, the greenhouse gas emission. Then during plantation we have a greenhouse gas sinking, and then after that we are producing biofuel and food security with less greenhouse gas emission. So we have problem right now for food and bioenergy production. So potential renewable energy tap in the palm oil, potential for food and energy security. And then Indonesia government now displace some fossil fuel with biodiesel 100. And then this is for watch out for inappropriate land clearing and peatland drainage. So we need a better strategy to understand future suitability map of palm oil. So this is a biodiesel demand picture. We are almost increasing. So this is like already in a decade is already double, and then we really now we government already calculated that for Indonesia consumption we need 1,000 hectare of current production of palm oil. This is what we aiming for. The current global system is dominated by fossil fuel, but it will be replaced soon by renewable energy. And part of the renewable energy here is biomass. For Indonesia, it comes from biomass from palm oil. So, and then we have here that in the past, the renewable energy costs have declined and can be expected in the future. This is a decline in the biodiesel, and also for energy from wind and the solar system. So this is a global bioenergy demand is always increasing, and this is for IPCC report 1.5 degree increase. We see that bioenergy it will be in the future will be our temporary solution. It will not last for many decades, but only for temporary solution. So for palm oil, we see that the greenhouse gas saving is pretty much that this is that the European really doesn't like it because the energy demand of our system will be depend on the palm oil because palm oil it is the best renewable energy from biofuel compared to soybean, rapeseed, and sunflower. This is data from EU there. So for conclusion in my talk, the global challenge include the threat of global carbon cycle that cause global warming, and the clearance of 1 hectare of forest plantation needs a third of acre of virgin forest to balance it. The maritime continent is highly suitable for palm oil, and future climate model scenario using SI scenario indicate that for Indonesia and Malaysia after 2017 still suitable for palm oil production. there is a need to improve climate model using soil type dynamic, new IPCC model scenario, RCP, SSP, as well as for ecological dynamic. Okay, thank you very much. Terima kasih and Kapung Kap. Thank you very much for listening to my talk. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you very much, Professor Aldrin. I believe you, yeah, thank you very much. Stop squaring the sharing the screen. Thank you very much for those very comprehensive remarks again, with a focus on the situation in Indonesia. You've mentioned many different aspects of climate change, also linking it to the palm oil issue, which brings in things that the EU is trying to do, which is very interesting from our perspective here.